Hey everybody, thanks again for tuning into Spreeisms, my blog all about mental health and finding ways to protect your peace. I'm Kirsten Spreewell, your resident therapist, and before I get started, I just want to offer a trigger warning that this vlog I will be talking about suicide. Suicide Prevention Week 2017 is September 10th through September 16th, and I think it's important to talk about this issue because it's everybody's problem. In the US alone, it costs $51 billion a year. On any given day, an average of 121 Americans die by suicide. For every suicide, there is at least 25 attempts. So it's important to talk about the stigma and the prevention methods so we can all stop suicide.
I want you to be alive. I want you to be alive. You don't gotta die today. You don't gotta die.
The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention has some stats on their website, and I want to just get started by reading what is, I think, one of the most riveting numbers of suicide, or just the statistics. Females attempt suicide 3 times more often than males. As with suicide, death rates of attempted suicide vary considerably among demographic groups. While males are 4 times more likely than females to die by suicide, females attempt suicide 3 times as often as males. The ratio of suicide attempts or suicide deaths in youth is estimated to be 25-1. And that's compared to about 4-1 in the elderly. So that means young people are dying by suicide and older people are dying by suicide, and the numbers are still high for both demographics. I want to talk about some of the symptoms or the signs for somebody who may be having suicidal ideations or suicidal thoughts. A lot of the times you see someone who is feeling hopeless, talking about death. In youth, you see them drawing pictures about death or about hurting themselves. Somebody who might be in chronic pain. In youth, you see somebody who is being bullied, especially in middle school and high school, somebody who is being bullied a lot online or even in school. In adults, you see somebody who is withdrawing a lot, not doing things that they used to do. That's that depression that we see a lot of the times that is assumed to be the leading cause of suicide. Mental health issues in general, and anybody who might be in chronic pain with an illness, and that's what we see a lot of the times in elderly. But what are some things that we can do to prevent suicide? I think that some of the risk factors are because people don't have support. So taking away the stigma of mental health issues is one of the biggest things. Having somebody talk to a therapist or a counselor at the school to tell them what they're going through, I think can be a big prevention method. Also asking somebody how they're doing. Somebody who's going through a lot in life, also just being there for them and being a listening ear, letting them know that they have support. Another big thing is staying connected with people, always tapping into maybe see what they're putting on their social media. A lot of times the youth younger from 18 or even down to 15 to 25 will post things before they attempt. So I think it's important to pay attention to what your friends and what your family members are going through and staying connected with them. I personally have experienced suicide or death by suicide in my family and friends, and suicide loss survivors, the people who are affected by the suicide of a loved one or a friend, are often taken by a lot of guilt or shame after the death of their loved one. And I think that this is because of the stigma of suicide. Even in the language that we use, we say committed suicide a lot as if it was a crime. It's a lot of guilt that is associated with it, and a lot of shame that is associated with it. And I think if we can remove the negative stigma of suicide, and even in the language that we use, saying maybe death by suicide or a successful suicide rather than committed suicide, I think even in that language it can change the whole vibe and the whole negative stigma that is associated with it. Talking about it more. I encourage people who have been affected by a successful suicide to talk about it and not have that shame. Make people uncomfortable until it becomes something that is unstigmatized or destigmatized, so that we can all get it out, talk about these things. And once it's out in the open, we can start implementing more prevention programs in the schools, or even in the colleges, and even in the workplace for people who have high stress jobs, which is a big thing in adults, in middle-aged white males that we see. It's a high number. In the past 5 years, it's been leading cause of death for white males. And we have to pay attention to what is going on with our people that are close to us. When we start seeing them stockpiling pills or different things, feeling hopeless, we have to pay more attention and talk about these things, get it out in the open. So that's what I would say. If anybody is experiencing suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideations, I have the National Suicide Hotline on the screen for you. So please call, talk to a friend, talk to a supervisor, talk to your therapist, talk to a teacher, and let them know how you're feeling, because we want to make sure that you feel cared about, and that you feel important, and that you want to be here. So until next time, I hope you all find your version of success, self-love, and peace.